What? Hello and welcome back to I Take Movies and also their characters way too seriously. So to start off, yes, this video is obviously about Birds of Prey, but I'm going to give a quick little review, I guess, in the beginning that has no spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen it yet and is thinking about seeing it, because I think you should. I'm going to try to encourage you to see it and not spoil anything for you so you still get to enjoy it for the first time without knowing really anything going in. And then I'll get into spoilers later for those of you who either have seen it or haven't and just don't care, because some people are like that. I don't understand, but some people are like that. First, I want to say this movie is not like Suicide Squad. If you did not like Suicide Squad, you're good. This movie is still for you, okay? It's for everybody. So Harley's character is immensely better in this movie. Way more well-rounded, way more interesting. She's not just a fun little sex toy, apparently, because that's how the director of Suicide Squad treated her, in my humble opinion. Also, I don't believe this is a spoiler. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Jared Leto, nowhere to be found in this movie, not even in flashbacks. And I appreciate the heck out of that. The Joker gets zero, zilch, nada amount of screen time. They said Jared Leto whomst? We don't know him. The way this movie was shot, not just the cinematography, but also the color palette they used and the costumes feels very much like a comic book, and I really appreciate that because we're starting to get towards this era of superhero movies that are based on comic books where they're like, hey, people read the comics for the feel of the comic, let's make the movie feel like the comic, because that's kind of the whole novelty of comics, the cartoonish, fun feel that you get when reading them. Not so much a serious, heavy, dark vibe that DC is well known for and has well overdone. I'll get to it. Another noteworthy thing is this movie had a ton of women in the driver's seat. I mean, it was directed by a woman named Cathy Yan. I feel like we don't hear that. I think some people know it was directed by a woman. I didn't even know that. I think I heard that some women were involved. I didn't know it was directed by a woman and that her name was Cathy Yan. Can we start saying female directors' names, please? Not just, oh, it was a female director. How about, what is her name? Her name is Cathy Yan? Tell her I love her. Can I send her a fruit basket? And I think that largely contributed to all of the characters being handled, in my mind, correctly, if there is a correct way to handle characters. In a movie with an almost entirely female cast, no one was used for their sexuality. It wasn't important to the story. It rarely ever is important to the story, and they recognized that, and they were like, we'll still let Harley be Harley and wear her cutesy little clothes, but they didn't overdo it like they did in Suicide Squad. I mean, this movie was rated R, so they could have done whatever they wanted as far as what they wanted to show or do. Along the same lines of the way the characters were treated, there is a sense of the quote girl power feel in the movie. I mean, obviously, but it doesn't have that kitschy feeling that usually girl power movies have. But even if it could be considered pandering, like so many people coin all female movies as just, oh, pandering to the girls. It's a chick flick. It's girl power. How many male-driven movies, guy power, whatever, can you think of? The Fast and the Furious franchise, for one example, is straight pandering to that demographic. That's fine. I enjoy those movies. I'll be honest. I'm not saying they're great. I'm not saying they're worthy of awards, but I'm saying if the movie's on, I'm gonna enjoy watching it sometimes. And I'm not the only one who feels like that. Plenty of girls like guy power movies, the action films, the superhero movies that are all male and then maybe one female. I can still enjoy those movies, so why can't everybody else enjoy girl movies? It's just, we've had this conversation before. We're having the conversation all the time. I still want to just throw it out there. So that is the end of my spoiler-free review of Birds of Prey. Yeah, basically, I think if you're on the fence about it, just stop, pick a side. And the correct side is the side to go see it. If you want to avoid spoilers, this is your chance. Get out now. All right, gamers, welcome to Spoiler Town. I already mentioned that Joker is nowhere to be found other than, I suppose, that quick little cartoon in the beginning that was just Harley describing how she got to where she is. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that again. Joker is nowhere to be found. I freaking love it. Suck it, Jared Leto. That's what you get for mailing dead rats to people. Another noteworthy mention is blowing up the chemical plant that was sort of the catalyst of the beginning of her relationship with Joker. Power move. They also let Harley look really run down and messy in the beginning of the movie when she's absolutely heartbroken over losing the Joker, and also her livelihood. I mean, that's kind of all she knows now after he freaking, messed her up. That's all she had was Joker. Her body covered in tattoos of Joker, and that's gone. So she's on her own for the first time, really in her life, other than briefly when she was a psychiatrist when she met the Joker, and then fell into a vat of acid. You know the story. So I like that, but I also like that they didn't focus too much on the heartbreak and the heavy aspect of it. I wish maybe they had talked about it a little more, because honestly, in Suicide Squad, Harley's character, the performance given in that movie was heartbreaking. It would almost move you to tears if the movie was done a little better. But they didn't focus too much on that, and I appreciate it, but part of me wishes there was still a little bit of angst kind of thrown in there just for my own sake, but also for the sake of the character of Harley, because I'm sure that there was more that we didn't see other than, like, you know, a comical shot of her crying and eating ice cream and covering up her tattoos with like X marks and just writing pudding cups instead of puddin'. But it was still fun because DC has, when I say beat a dead horse, I mean the horse is buried in the grave. They dug it up and continued to kick it when it comes to making movies way too dark and heavy and emotionally charged. Like, okay, enough, we've had enough. You don't need to be Marvel by any means. You don't need to make everything a joke and lighthearted, even though Endgame arguably was the most tragic movie I've ever seen in my life. So I don't think by any means that they are trying to be like Marvel by having a movie that's not just like so heavy to the point of being depressingly boring. No, they just made a movie that wasn't a chore to watch. Jeez. So now I want to spend just a little bit of time focusing specifically on the character of Harley Quinn. I know there were other female characters in this movie, and I think they were all phenomenal. This video can only be so long, and I only have so much of an attention span. Anyway, I like Harley's character development. I like that she was allowed to have character development and wasn't just stunted to be this ditzy, dumb, crazy girl who's obsessed with the Joker. She was able to kind of flesh out other parts of her character while still maintaining the character's integrity of being, you know, crazy, the literal sense of the word crazy. But we get to see her making choices that don't rely on the Joker. So it was really fun seeing Harley kind of call the shots in her own life, because we didn't get to see that in Suicide Squad. She, even in the squad, she had her times where she made suggestions, but she never got to lead the way. This movie, she led the way, and it was really fun to watch. Really fun to see Harley take reins of her own life, blow up a power plant just for the sake of it, just for the drama of it all. I want to be a little more like Harley Quinn. If you can't tell, there are parts of her that I deeply, deeply appreciate, and that is one of them, is her love of the theatrics. She's been so heavily controlled in so many ways, not just being told what to do, but literally being brainwashed, literally being abused and having her brain zapped by the Joker, had nothing in her own hands, and now she has everything in her hands. And so she's having to balance this like newfound weight of her own life that she hasn't really had to carry before. It's relatable to someone who hasn't been through what Harley has been through. I would argue that pretty much most, if not all of you watching this haven't been through everything Harley's been through, because it's a very unique situation. If you know the Joker in real life, get out, maybe alert the cops, you know. But anyway, I think we can all on some level relate to the feeling of suddenly being thrown out into the real world, so to speak. You grow up wanting to call your own shots, wanting to pick what you eat every day, and getting frustrated when you don't have control over every little aspect because it's adults in charge and you're just a kid. What do you know? You can't make any choices for yourself. And now all of a sudden, every choice is yours, and you're like, can you... Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, can someone pick? Toss a coin? I don't care. I don't have the capacity to pick right now. I don't know how to take lead, how to take charge, what to do. And I also like that we didn't get this heroic story of her being the best person by the end of it. She didn't lose her evil side. She made bad choices in the movie. She has control, and she is a villain. She's been a villain, and she kind of continued to be a bit of a villain. She spends the whole time running from people that she's wronged, and she doesn't feel bad about it. She's just like, uh-oh, they're coming for me because they know Joker isn't gonna swoop in and save me, so now I gotta deal with the consequences of my own actions, but it's not gonna stop me from doing things just like it again. So I really appreciated that they allowed her character to grow in some ways, but maintained that mischievous little bat that Harley Quinn is. Just out of her mind, baddie girl. I think it's because we had people in charge of this movie, specifically women who know what they're doing, write out this female character. Females were in charge, so they knew how to handle a female character, I would say, better than usually males know how to handle female characters. You know what I'm saying? Not that they haven't been done good in the past, just it's nice to see what women would choose for women to do in a movie in a way that doesn't feel pandering. And before I close, of course, I need to mention some of the other characters, because though it's about Harley Quinn, there were some phenomenal actresses and other characters that surrounded her that really push the movie, and it wouldn't have been able to ride solely on Harley Quinn's shoulders. I will say Huntress got a little bit on my nerves. I like her backstory and I like pieces about her, but she just felt awkward on screen, and I'm sure that was on purpose. It felt very on purpose. It didn't feel like they tried to make her super serious and it just fell flat. I think her character was meant to be so serious to the point of being corny, and I like that idea, and maybe it had the exact effect on me it was supposed to, because it just made me feel very uncomfortable every time she spoke. It was just... Black Canary, no complaints. Loved the way that her story was told. Loved watching that play out, of her working for this man and then suddenly being thrust into a world of crime that she never wanted to be in the first place. The cop, or I guess ex-cop, Renee Montoya, is after Harley Quinn in the first place and then teams up with her at the end. You know, that's one of my favorite tropes, honestly, is two characters who hate each other and or are on the opposite sides of a team coming together at the end and being on the same team. Who doesn't love that? And just backtrack 1 second and say that I also loved Cassandra. I loved having a younger girl, basically a child, involved in the cast and involved in the main story and being one of the main heroes, villains, I don't really know what we're calling them, but stars of the movie, basically. She was really fun to watch. She was really funny. I loved her give and take with Harley in the beginning when Harley's like, I'm gonna like take this kid under my wing. Then ditch her later when it's convenient for me, but regret it and come back and, you know, make some better choices and then make a ton of bad choices. She just ate something. That's it. And now everyone's after her. At the end of the day, I think it's important to critique movies. I think it's fun. I love watching movies and digging into them, looking for meaning in them, digging into the characters, understanding how the characters are who they are, what changed them before the movie, what changed them during the movie. I love that, obviously. I eat it up. I'm like a little gopher. I'm a little raccoon. That's what I am. I'm a raccoon with my little raccoon hands, and I'm digging in garbage, looking for something good. And sometimes you find something and you love it with your little raccoon hands. Just a trash panda out here vibing, okay? And that's what this movie was for me. Again, was it critically acclaimed? Well, actually, a lot of critics liked it. I'm getting off track. Have I been on a track? Is there a track? Are tracks real? We watch movies to escape, to enjoy something that isn't our real lives. Maybe it's not an escape per se, but you know what I mean. You watch a movie to get lost in that world. Whether it's a fun world or a sad world, whatever it is, it's a story you enjoy, and it's a story you want to get lost in and just take like an hour and a half, 2-hour intermission from this life. Am I right, fellas, ladies, everyone? You know, and that's what this movie is. It's good, okay? It's fun to watch, and I love that. Sometimes you just need a fun movie. You don't necessarily need something that is on par with the freaking Titanic. It doesn't need to win a ton of awards. It doesn't need to be one of the crown jewels that every film student will study. It just needs to be enjoyable to watch. And this movie was enjoyable to watch. You have a good time watching it. And I think that's what matters. If you had fun, then the movie did its job. Whether you spent the whole time heckling it because it was bad, it's still a good movie. We all know that. We all know that bad movies that are just bad enough to be good, it's still a good movie in my opinion. This isn't that. This movie's not so bad that it's good. It's good that it's good. Oh my god. It's a good movie. Go watch it. Thanks for watching. Peace. Okay, no, for real. Thank you for watching. I'm selling enamel pins on Etsy if you want to pick one of those up. They're cute. Here's what they look like. And for anyone who might be wondering if you've been around for a minute or two, I am doing a little better, and I will make a full video on TMS once I am done with treatment. Whether it's successful or not, I will still make a video about it just for the sake of it, because I think it's important to talk about, and I think it's an important thing to bring up for anybody who it might work for, if it doesn't work for me or if it does. Regardless, I still wanted to give you a bit of an update because I'm not just in this for the clout, in this for the views. I'm not gonna retain spoilers from you about my life. I'm doing a little better, have a long way to go. That's all I can really give you right now, because that's all I know. That's all I'm aware of. So yeah, stick around for that if that's interesting to you. I have a Patreon if you want to join that. We have our own little Discord, and it's fun. I've been keeping them a little more updated on everything because it's just easier to type out a little sentence than make a whole freaking video. And also, it's just fun. We make jokes, mostly at my expense. Other little goodies, exclusives that are in there. And you can follow me on social media if you want. Sometimes I tweet things I think are funny. And that's about it. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.